I've healed from a lot of different things in my past, and this is kind of why I do what I do and love to share this type of body therapy with all of you, and this passion of mine, because it became a passion when I healed myself through the years. And so in the last 40 years of being on this planet, I've been through a lot of different types of physical and mental health ailments and conditions that I've been through, that I've had to heal myself from. And so along the way, I've learned a lot about this body of ours and how we can work with it to get our body to heal itself and to stimulate a healing response. And so I first started as a yoga teacher, like Maya, when I was 21. So this is many years ago. And then I was into movement and dance. I've always been a dancer and a movement artist. And then eventually got into massage therapy. I went to massage school because I started with yoga and then Thai massage, and then got into massage therapy, went to massage school. Then I got into manual therapy. Manual therapy just means hands-on therapy work. So it's what an osteopath would do. If those of you don't know what an osteopath is, it's a doctor of osteopathy. These are doctors that work, many of them, with their hands and doing hands-on healing, working with the mechanics of the body to stimulate healing and to heal different types of ailments. So yeah, I got into osteopathic manual therapy, specifically a technique called orthobionomy, which is a mouthful. And when I got into that, I eventually got into myofascial release and got training in that, and John Barnes' method, who's a physical therapist. So there's a lot of different modalities and techniques that all have to do with manual therapy and touch therapy and working with our body. But I'm also involved in a lot of movement as medicine, which essentially is what yoga is, right? And dance is just movement as medicine and moving our body. And so it's extremely important for us to be moving our body regularly, especially during quarantine and isolation, if we're in it still, which in New York we are. New York's being hit pretty hard right now. So it's getting better, which is great. So we're starting to get better. But yeah, movement is medicine, right? Movement is not just exercise and helping to, release endorphins and feel better in general, mentally and emotionally. But it's also, movement moves the fluids in our body. And when the movement moves the fluids in the body, it actually helps enhance our health on all levels, not just the blood circulating, which is healthy, but also for the, boosting our immune system, right? Which is the endocrine system. So we have the lymphatic system and the lymphatic vessels. And it's really important that we nourish this system and we actually get the blood moving there. So I recommend daily bouncing on a trampoline if you can, or doing like dry brushing every day. That will help to enhance the lymphatic system. So my passion to share with you guys is to, like, how can we work with this body to stimulate healing? So what is healing? Healing is just becoming whole. It's having this connection to mind, body, and spirit, right? And so any of you here who are not into spirit, don't believe we have a spirit, that's okay too. You could just focus on the mind, body part, okay? And I'll say that there's some magic that we have here with this body, and that we can do some magical things to get our body to heal, to feel better, right? To be more at ease in our body. Many of us have had tension in our body. We can feel that we have tension. We don't know how to release it. So today we're going to do some techniques together which are designed to release tension in our physical body, but not just physical tension, like structural tension where our muscles are contracted and tight, but also maybe some emotional tension. So we have these blockages in our body sometimes from us not feeling our emotions and not expressing ourselves. And as adults, very often we do this. We hold ourselves back from expressing our emotions. And what are emotions? It's just a sensation in our body that needs to happen and for us to express it, to move through that. Emotion is energy in motion. So motion is movement, right? So how can we move that energy? So essentially emotional releases are like energy work. And so we're going to do a little bit of energy work today where we're going to see if we can clear out some energy from the system of ours. This is a magnificent body and intelligent, wise system. and we are an organism essentially. And so what I do is teach humans like you how to take this organism and to let it and allow it to heal itself and to regenerate and to be at its best. So let's all, before we start, let's all like just take a moment to just synchronize our breaths and get connected here, because even though we're working at a distance through this interesting platform and virtually, like we can actually connect energetically right now, all of us. So let's all just sit up straight and close our eyes and just listen to my voice and take a deep breath in together. We're going to take a deep collective breath. Inhale, 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 hold it in, inhale, take a deep, deep breath on top of that, even deeper on top of that, and then exhale together. We're all gonna go, ah, like a sigh of relief. Shit, it's Friday. Take a deep breath. And then, ah, exhale, letting go. And just pause. Pausing and just listening to my voice, softening your eyes, softening your jaw, softening the tension around your face. One more deep, deep breath in from the nose. Nice deep breath in. And then take another deep breath on top of that so you can push that breath even deeper below the navel. Try to visualize the breath going below the navel, even though it doesn't really go there. And then exhaling like a sigh of relief. Let's do one last time. This kind of feels good, right? Breathing is good. We can breathe. Let's just step into the gratitude for a moment that we can breathe right now. Inhaling deep. Exhale like a sigh of relief. That's also an energy release when we do that, when you have this like sigh. If you notice, like babies and kids do that often, right? They just like sigh, just like, So let's do that right now intentionally. One more time. Inhaling deep. Good, and just pausing, just noticing how you feel. Feeling into your seat, into the chair you're sitting in or the floor or whatever you're sitting on. Feeling into that. And if your eyes are not closed, see if you can close your eyes. Just feeling into your body, and we're just doing a little bit of an assessment to see if we can feel what's coming up for me right now. How does my body feel right now at the start of this session? Because we want to compare to how it's going to feel at the end. So we're going to do a little bit of a check-in at the end as well. Just notice the quality of your body right now, of your soft tissues, your muscles, perhaps. Is it comfortable for you to be sitting here? If not, where am I holding on to tension in my body right now? What do I notice? How do I feel? To heal, we must feel. And so if there's anything that we do with this kinetic body therapy work, it's really about feeling. Because to heal, we must feel. And the more that we feel, the more that we heal and become whole. The more we connect to that oneness, the more we feel balanced in terms of mind, body, and of course the spirit. So just take a moment and pause. And I see some more people are joining, so you can turn your videos on if you can. Just keep yourself paused. And those of us who've been going through this moment, you can gently flutter your eyes open. And we're just slowly coming back to being here. And we're going to get started with some releases. We're going to get started with some education about our body. And so just, I will say that kinetic body therapy, kinetic just means movement. I'm not a kinesiologist. I am not a sports medicine person. I'm a licensed massage therapist, and I don't do massage though. I do manual therapy. Again, manual therapy is hands-on therapy work. I work with body therapy as well. What is body therapy? Body therapy is essentially working with the body and this magnificent, intelligent, wise body of ours to heal the problems of the mind. Okay. And I will say that our body and our mind is one. In fact, our body is our unconscious mind. Our body is essentially a reflection of what's going on to us, for us, with our unconscious mind. In other words, like what's going on in the back of our minds, the part of us that is the driving force behind our life. And so working with this body of ours is cool. Why? Because it's going to affect our life. Why? Because it affects the mind. And then the mind is that, part of us, like the part of our brain. It's not just in our brain, but essentially it gets us to move this body in this world. And so this body therapy or body work, working with the body, can really transform our lives. And it has for me, and that's what I'm here to share with you guys. So it's this deep abdominal muscle that's in our abdomen. And so we're going to work with that today because this is our core. It's our center. Everything starts in the center of our body and goes out from there. So I really like to start there and release the tension there because it can help us not only just quiet the mind a bit and go into being more relaxed, which is always nice, but it also helps us if we're sitting in chairs a lot. These days, maybe sitting on the computer a lot, or we're sitting in front of Zoom. And so it's really helpful to release this muscle because oftentimes it's very short. And when it's a shortened muscle, what happens is we're not able to open our hips because what this muscle does in our abdomen is it actually is a hip flexor. Okay, so what it does is it literally just does this, right? It flexes our hip and allows our legs to come in towards our chest, our knees to come into our chest. So I'm going to share my screen with you and just show you a visual of what the psoas muscle looks like. Can everybody see that? All right, so the psoas muscle, as I wrote here, that psoas muscle, you see it's spelled with a P, but it's pronounced like with an S, okay? And it's right here, if you can see my cursor. So it's right here, it's like number 1 and 2, all right? So this is a deep abdominal muscle that's underneath our organs, and this is the one muscle that's connecting our upper part of our body and our lower part of our body. It's also known as the soul muscle or muscle of the soul because it's a very, very impactful muscle that controls a lot of functions in our body and our life. In fact, this muscle contracts. It's one of the first muscles to contract when we go into that fight, flight, freeze response. Okay, so the fight, flight, freeze response is essentially this response of our body and our nervous system where everything tenses up and locks up, and it's when we're in that fear-based mode. So we have fight, flight, freeze, and then we have rest and digest and recover, right? And so when we're in that fight, flight, freeze state, it's usually that caffeine-driven, like ready to go, like constant stream of consciousness with the thoughts. So many thoughts are running, and that's the time when we need to either fight, we need to run, flight, right, if there's danger, and then freeze. If we're going to freeze and just like lock up if we don't know what to do, and it's like another response that happens in nature with animals when something happens and a predator is coming to eat them, and they just completely freeze and play dead, right? And so this muscle in the psoas, even if you hear an ambulance going by and it's loud, it may tense up like really like quickly. And when it's locked up in our abdomen, it's going to cause us to be more likely to be in that state of fear. Now, fear causes our body to contract, and it causes our muscles to go into armor, right? It's like our muscles are our armor. So is our fascia. And those of you who don't know what the fascia is connective tissue that is beneath the skin and beneath the muscles. It's all around our body. Everything in our body is floating in this system. So kinetic body therapy, and what I do and what I have to share is working with all dimensions. It's working with the muscles, it's working with the fascia, which is the connective tissue. It's working with maybe the organs in our abdomen, maybe energy and emotions. It's working with the laws of how our body heals. And we're looking at all different types of dimensions and not just muscles. Like we get a massage, right? That's more focused on the muscles. You go to chiropractic, they're focusing on the spine and the joints. When you see a body therapist such as myself, we're working with a multidimensional perspective to look at everything. We're looking at the muscles, we're looking at the connective tissues or the fascia, we're looking at the spine, we're looking at the joints, right? Looking at our joints, individual joints. So I work with joints too. Working with the abdomen and the organs, the viscera, right? The organs in our abdomen, they allow for function, like allow us to eliminate, right? And so if we have something like IBS, we can actually place our hands and go into our abdomen and release some of the mechanical tension and then allow us to go to the bathroom better, right? And so there's basically so many ways that we can work with this body and with our hands and with manual therapy to heal different ailments. So the way we're gonna assess this, okay, is we're gonna work with muscle now. And again, muscle is just one of the dimensions of our body. The way we're gonna release this, first we wanna assess the tissues and see what they feel like. Okay, so now doing that requires using our fingers, and we're going to use the middle finger so we can assess the tissue. So we're palpating. Palpation just means to feel and to assess our tissues. Now the psoas muscle, the way that you can feel it, all right, is that it's basically in between the ilium, or this bone right here, the pelvis bone, and the navel. It's right at the middle of that, the midpoint of that. That's how you're going to find it. Okay, so it's right like between here and here, right in here. Okay, so you're going to be placing your hands, even if you're in the region or you're not sure you're exactly on it, that's okay, because it's still there, right? Now the thing is, you have to remember first off that this muscle, you want to go in deep. You want to press in deep and see if you can feel if one side feels tighter than the other. Now this muscle is underneath our fat. Okay, first off, skin, fat, organs, and then you have this muscle deep buried behind everything. It's in the back. It's almost in the back of our body, right? And again, this muscle is a hip flexor. It does this, right? So now see if you can feel that, okay? And I'm a very visual person, so if you can see, this is the muscle. This is what it looks like, right? It's right here. And so see if you can feel into that, and just close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and see if you can go into your body and feel, does my right side feel tighter or does my left side feel tighter? Which side feels tighter? What feels a little bit more dense? Is there a little bit of this ickiness feeling? Just to get a little bit of a, like just a check-in and an assessment. And if you're not sure, that's okay. This is what this is about. This is exploration, right? We're exploring our body. We're feeling into it. So now, regardless if you can feel if one side's tighter than the other, why don't we go ahead and do a general release to both sides, okay? Now, to do this, it's helpful to lay down. Can you guys lay down? We're gonna lay down on our back, and if you can put your legs up on the chair you're sitting on, if it's a chair, or if there's a couch, or if there's something that is high enough to bring your legs to a 90-degree angle. So all we need to do is lay on our backs, okay, and then lift our legs up to this angle right here, 90 degrees. Very simple. Knees are bent, and we're putting our legs up on a chair or on some sort of couch or a surface. And if you don't have something like that, you can use pillows. You can take a bunch of pillows and put them under your legs. and raise them up to as close as you can to 90 degrees. It doesn't have to be exact, guys. Don't worry so much. And it should feel quite comfortable. So now when your legs are up in this position, what's happening is that you're slackening the psoas muscle. So what is slackening? And to slacken, it means to make it shorter. So you're not stretching. It's the opposite of stretching. So now you don't have to really look at me. You could just listen to my voice and go into your body. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and go into your body. It's not about me. I'm not demonstrating this. I'm not showing this. You guys can just listen to what I'm saying and follow along. And so first off, with the eyes closed, feel with the middle fingers, press into the abdomen and see if you can feel. Does it feel a little bit softer now? Is it softening? What does it feel like? And just notice it, become aware. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to see if you can bring your right knee a little bit out to the right and then to the left. And relaxing your hands on the floor, you're just going to tune in now to what does it feel like for my muscle if I move it to the right and to the left. And then you're going to find a position that's comfortable for that knee. What's the most comfortable position for me to bring my knee? And then you're going to do the same thing with the left side. You're just going to move the knee in, so internal rotation and then external rotation. And seeing if you can get a sense of what is my body like? What does it need? What does it enjoy? Which position does it enjoy? So now again, we're not stretching. We're thinking about slackening. This is a very opposite approach to stretching and yoga and things like that. This is about comfort and ease. Now, if you're ever feeling stressed, guys, you can come to this position. It's an amazing position. Why? Because when you're in this position, as you all are right now, you're doing great. You're actually instantly being shifted out of fight, flight, freeze into rest and digest. This is a great way to relax the nervous system. Can everybody feel that? If yes, then just raise your right hand so I can see you. Amazing. Amazing. Doesn't it feel so amazing? And so people who have back pain and lower back pain, they lay in this position. Why? Because believe it or not, a lot of our lower back pain is happening because our psoas muscle, one of them perhaps, or both, is contracted and short, pulling our knees towards our chest as we are laying right now, which then causes our lower back to compensate and to try to correct the body by pulling really tight. Our lower back pulls really tight, and then we have lower back tension and pain. So a lot of the times, if you have lower back pain, you do not work with the lower back, you work with the psoas first. This is a big secret in the body work world. I'm revealing with you a very big secret. If you go see a therapist of some sort who works with the body, whether it's a physical therapist or any other therapist, and if you have lower back pain and if they're not working with your abdomen, then something is seriously wrong. Okay? We need to release the tension there. So if you have lower back pain, this position alone is going to start to release it. So we're just lying here, right, guys? But what's happening is your psoas is softening on its own. And now you can just press into your abdomen again and see if you can feel how it's softening. Is it softening? Does it feel less tight? And then if you find a point that is a little bit tighter, let's say on the right or the left, you found a point that feels a little bit more locked or tense, what you're going to do is you're going to take your hand, keep your finger on that point with one hand. The other hand is grabbing a hold of your knee, okay? You're going to grab a hold of your knee on the same side, and you're going to bring the knee up towards your chest. So if you can't see, then you can look at Maya, what she's doing. Now, you're just basically going to bring the knee closer to your chest. You're going to hold onto the knee. So Maya, hold onto your knee. Perfect. And it's a very gentle compression where you're bringing the knee to the chest, but there's no stretch. So you're not stretching it. You're just bringing it in a little bit closer. And that hand and that middle finger is pressing on the abdomen. That's holding and monitoring. It's just monitoring. It's just checking in and seeing what the tissue feels like. You're going to notice that it's the tissue starting to soften there. So this is a position of softening and slackening. So if you can take a peek at me at the screen, that's okay. If not, that's okay. But what I'm showing you is, let's say this is the muscle. We're doing this, right? We're slackening it. We're not stretching it. We're slackening it. So when you do that and you have your finger on the belly of the muscle, and essentially your belly, it's going to feel softer. And so it softens, and then just hold that position. This is how we release the body. Now what's happening is your body's releasing from the inside out rather than the outside in. Not like massage or yoga where we're forcing or stretching or pressing in to the body with massage, let's say. What we're doing here is we're just pressing gently with our finger, telling our body, this is where I want the release to happen. And then our brain is sending a signal to our body saying, it is safe, I can let go. And then our body just releases. So raise your hand if you feel like you had some sort of release there. Now you can bring the knee back to where it was and just press in and see if you can feel like, does it feel a little softer on that side? And if you're not sure and you're not sure you understand this or get this, that's okay too. Just trust the process. In fact, just lying here alone in this position is going to help to release tension from this muscle. Very thick band of muscle. Again, this is called the muscle of the soul. So it really soothes our body and makes us relax when we go into releasing the tension there. So now raise your hand if you can feel like you're more relaxed, and raise your hand if you can feel like, oh wait, I feel like my belly feels more open, right? Amazing. And those of you who are not sure, that's fine too. Just trust the process. Okay. And then when you're ready, you can sit upright, and we're going to move on to the next exercise. So with these techniques, with what I'm sharing with you, this is based in osteopathy. Again, osteopaths or medical doctors or doctors of osteopathy, at the end of their name, they have the letters D-O, and at least in the States. And so what that is again, a doctor who's working with the body and the mechanics of the body. And so working here with this positional release. So what we just did is called a positional release. So we put our body into these positions that slacken the body, and then they send a signal to the brain, which is the operating system, and the nervous system, which is the operating system. And then our body just softens. And so then if we have a knot in our psoas or a contraction, now remember, with the muscles, it's not an actual knot. You know how they say, oh, I have a knot in my shoulder or in my back? It's not a physical knot. It's something like, it doesn't look like an actual knot, okay? But let's just say that it was a knot, and you try to stretch it. What happens? It actually gets tighter, right? The knot gets tighter. So what we're doing here is the opposite approach, the law of similars, where we're bringing the ends closer together, what that does is it takes the knot out, right? Essentially, it puts the body on the slack. And so when we slacken the body, all that does is it tells our brain that it's safe to let go. And then that knot or that contraction, all the knot is a contraction of our muscles and being in spasm, it releases the spasm. Does that make sense? So give me a thumbs up if you understand. And if you understand how the body works, the body does this. So those of you who are joining in late, just please turn your videos on so I can see your beautiful faces, and also your body so I can see if you're doing the exercises right. And so give me a thumbs up if you felt relaxed laying down, and if you felt like my psoas kind of relaxed a little. My belly, my abdomen felt a little bit like it relaxed. Yes, some of you, and some of you maybe not so sure. Okay, all good, all good. So now we're going to do the upper back. Yes, upper back. We all have upper back tension. It's a common area that we have tension. So we're going to do a quick release for the first rib, which is our upper back. Actually, okay, we don't have a lot of time, so maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do an emotional release. What do you think about that? So, all right, let's do this.
I'm sorry, one second. If everyone is okay to stay a little bit longer, we can do back and emotional release. Maybe I ask for a thumbs up. You can see everyone. And if not, we'll just do the emotional.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
And for Q&A too, people might have questions.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, yeah. So let's do that. Let's do a quick emotional release. So this is an emotional release exercise that you can do on your own whenever you feel stressed or you feel like there are some emotions in your body that we need to feel. All right. So very simply, this is an energy work technique. It's an opposite approach. It's using a little bit more force. And the intention here is to bring the emotions to the surface so we can feel whatever is there, so we can express it. Because to heal, we must feel. So just sitting with ourselves and feeling is going to express the emotions. It just means that we're going into the sensation of the motion, right? The movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by using the middle fingers. We're going to press really hard into our temples. We're going to press along our head. We're going to press right here. We're going to press into our jaw, into this muscle right here. We're going to engage that. We're going to engage our neck muscles by pressing really hard here. We're going to press right here into our chest, all around the chest, really hard. And so we're going to press hard and strum the muscles like guitar strings and really see if we can activate. What we're doing here is we're activating these energy centers where we hold a lot of tension, okay? And then we're moving down to here. And by activating these places of our body, we're bringing more awareness to our body and more energy into these areas. Because what we're doing here is we're trying to discharge the energy. What does it mean to discharge the energy? It means to release the tension. So go ahead and press into all these places. And I want you to press in really hard. Why hard? Because you want to activate. You want to bring awareness and attention to the body. So it's a very opposite approach.
Can you walk us through it so that we remember where we're supposed to press?
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going and pressing all through here, all around here. Now, it doesn't matter to be exact. Okay. So don't worry so much, guys. So all around the temples, all around the masseter muscle, this muscle right here, pressing into our jaw, right? Pressing into our neck right here, okay? Pressing into the chest, all around the chest, okay? Really hard. Now, there's certain areas that you're gonna press where it's gonna be like, fuck, that's intense. You know, it's really painful. Those are the areas you wanna pay more attention to. Okay, so good areas are right here around the heart. There's a lot of heart protection. And another really good area where a lot of us hold on to tension, which you might want to even use your thumbs for this one, is right like a couple inches below your nipples, okay? Right here. It's the intercostal muscles. It's basically into the muscles that are in between the ribs. That's kind of intense, isn't it? I see some of your faces. You're like, fuck, it's intense. That's okay. Trust the process. Keep doing it. Keep going, keep going. Press into that spot, right? Let's just focus on that spot right now. I feel like this is a good one for a lot of us. Press, 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 really hard, press, press. Oh, it sucks. Make believe somebody's trying to tickle you. Somebody's like, your friend is trying to tickle you and they're forcing it, they're forcing it, they're forcing it, they're pressing, and you're like, shit, this sucks. Stop already, stop. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And then close your eyes and just sit up and just feel. Just feel the energy. Eyes are closed. Just feel. Just feel. Stillness now. Stillness speaks. See if you can feel sensation, maybe some heat, maybe some energy, whatever that is, whatever that means. See if you can feel the heat. See if you can feel the blood circulating. Our intention for doing this is simply to bring more awareness to our body. And these places that we just pressed, it doesn't matter if you were exact on the point, but most of these places we pressed on were areas where we hold onto tension and muscular armor. It's where we put up this protection and contraction. And that's where the energy gets blocked and stuck. And that's where our emotions get stored and stuck. And so when we press it in this way, it brings them to the surface. And so just pausing and feeling. Give me a thumbs up if you can feel some shit. You can feel something, right? You feel your body more, right? And so if you feel your body, that's great. Deep breath in. Exhaling. And so sometimes I'll use breath work as well, which is very powerful at moving the energy. And we would do different types of breath work practices. There's so many things that we can do to support our body in healing. You can open your eyes now. And, you know, again, there's so many things we can do with our body in order to stimulate a healing response. Today, I gave you 2 exercises that you can do that are really great to do on your own. Practice them on your own. Practice them every day, especially if you're sitting a lot in chairs. And also, especially if you're building up some stress and emotions in your body, that it's very helpful for you to feel them. Just press into these areas. In fact, if you press into your kids' bodies or into your friends' bodies and loved ones, into the same areas, press in really hard. As long as they have no, medical conditions and, they can handle it, what you're going to do is pressing into these areas is going to bring them more into their bodies. When we are more in our body, we can feel more. So the idea is to aggravate, to press in hard, and then to just sit and just pause for anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes and keep doing it again. It's like a cycle. So just keep pressing, and then pause. And this is really good to do before meditation, almost like how yoga is there to prepare us for meditation. Same thing. Do this as a way to drop into relaxation and to shift yourself out of the fight, flight, freeze into the relax, rest, digest, recover. Okay, so give me a thumbs up if you felt that, you felt the power of what we just did. Very powerful exercise. And so if I was doing a session with a client, I work with people one-on-one, I would press into these areas, and usually I can feel where there's a blockage, and I'll press in and activate and discharge the energy there. And then I just hold space for my client, and then they start to feel their emotions. They start to express. So I have like an 85% cry rate on my tables. People cry. And so if we can cry, fuck yeah, it's great, because that means that we're feeling our emotions, we're expressing ourselves. And if you have headaches and you have stress and tension and you cry, it releases all of the tension around our head and our eyes and our jaw, and it'll make us look prettier, those of us who care about how we look. And so it's just like, let's realize that crying is a release. It's very healthy, just like screaming, just like movement and dancing, and just like orgasm, all these different things, yawning, sneezing, coughing. These are all natural physiological releases of our body. And when we're not doing enough of those, guess what? We tense up. We hold all that energy in our body. The energy's got to go somewhere. It's staying in your body. And so doing these exercises are ways to express and to release and discharge the energy. That's why movement is so good. When we move our bodies and we dance, especially when it's ecstatic, expressive, dynamic dancing, putting on our favorite song and just rocking out, that's going to help to release the emotions. Maybe that's what they're doing in those rock concerts, right? All that anger, right? Releasing it. So yelling into a pillow, highly recommended. Like get some sort of pillow and just like scream at the top of your lungs. But these are exercises that I give to my clients to do as homework assignments, as exercises to do on their own, because I can feel each of us are holding on to some sort of energy that is just, again, it's that motion that needs to move. And so how do we get the motion to move? We do these exercises. In fact, in some religious practices and spiritual practices, they have where you go into the forest and you just yell and you just release and you speak to, spirit, God, whatever, and just like let everything out. So let's do just one tense spot in our upper back. I'll teach you how to release one contraction. Right? So now I want you to imagine that we're working with the upper trap muscles. It's this muscle here that's attaching into our neck and attaching onto our shoulder. So let's just imagine that this is this muscle that we're trying to release right here. I almost wish my shirt wasn't blue so you could see that. But essentially, we're going to find in the belly of the muscle with our middle finger a contracted spot, or a spot that feels like it's contracted and it's holding on to tension, that feels hard, right? Rigid, stiff. And you can compare and say, okay, which side feels tighter? Is it the right or the left? What feels tighter for me? But If you're not really sure, you can also close your eyes. I really like to close the eyes so that I can feel more. Anytime we close our eyes, we're having more of an internal experience and we can feel more. So find a point that feels tense. Many of you are probably like, oh yeah, that one right there. It's always tight, right? So now you're going to hold your finger on that point. Very simply, you're going to take your elbow and you're going to put your elbow. This is the thing. We have to get next to a wall. So go next to a wall, or you can do it against your table if you're on a table and you don't have a wall nearby. But the idea here is we're trying to push the bone in towards our ear, towards our head. So thinking about taking this humerus, this bone right here, and pushing it in. So when we do that, what it does is it slackens this tissue, just like we did in the abdomen with the psoas muscle. So we're gonna have our finger on the point, then we're gonna slacken it. How do we slacken it? We push the bone in some way by pushing against a wall or a table, right? It doesn't really matter as long as this bone is going in towards your neck and head. And when you do that, it's gonna soften. The tissue is gonna soften. So once you found that softened position, you could also turn your head a little bit, turn the head in, right? Once you found that position with your finger on the point, you're gonna hold it. You're just gonna hold it. And we're gonna hold that for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then we're gonna bring the shoulder out. We're gonna move it around a little bit. So this is called integration. We're gonna integrate, okay? And then we're gonna take our hand again and we're gonna press in and see if it's softened. See if it feels like it's a little softer. So this is a little tricky because again, we're working with the mind and the brain and getting the body to understand that it's safe and our body can let go. So the release is happening again from the inside out, not outside in. We're not forcing. So we're going to review real quick. Middle finger, find the point, then find the release position. Again, this is a positional release. You find the release position, you're leaning against the wall preferably, but you can also do it against like your lap or a table, right? But the idea here is that we're slackening, okay? Slackening the muscle with our finger right in the contracted point, and we're holding for 5 slow seconds, and then we bring it out. We move it around and we feel and see if it changed, if there's any change, if the body let go. So it's very subtle. It's very different than, let's say, massage or acupressure or trigger point work or all that other stuff that's out there. This is a different technique. This is, again, working inside out rather than outside in. It's going to be, again, we're not pressing hard. So first, to find the point, you're pressing hard. But then you're softening the pressure and you're pressing almost like you'd be pressing on the belly of like an infant. Very gentle. Doesn't have to be forceful. This is a gentle, safe, loving, and kind way to release our body from the inside out. So if you're feeling a lot or you're not feeling a lot, it's an imbalance. So there is no good or bad. It's not like, okay, feeling is healing all the time. Sometimes if you're feeling too much, you're doing too much healing. And guess what? Too much healing is also not good. Seeing too many therapists, doing too many classes, it's also not good. Less is more, okay? Less is more. So a good cry is going to be enough to last you for several days. You don't need to cry every single day. But if you're crying every day, you're crying all day, it's a little much, all right? So then you need to
crying all day. I'm crying a little bit.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general, right? That's when it's a little much, right? And so if you feel like you're feeling too much, you need to shift. So what does it mean to shift? It's to do a state shift, like go take a walk, go exercise, go move your body, and get out of your head or out of that state of being. So dance. Dancing is the best thing ever. So it's important for us to know, and this is how we can navigate around our feelings and our emotions and our body and what's health. Health is balance. It's about having a balance. So if we're feeling too much, guess what? I recommend strength training. So if you're too open and you're very empathic, or you're an empath like me, you're very sensitive, you feel too much, there's too many things happen. Sometimes you're just like, I gotta stop feeling, this is too much. Okay, so for those of us, we're gonna have to do strength training. We have to build strength, build our body, like bodybuilding, okay? And exercising, intense fitness and exercise to build muscles, because guess what? That's gonna build more armor, more protection. And then we can feel a little bit less. And for those of us who are not feeling at all, we know we need to have a cry. We know we feel stressed. We feel stressed. We're not feeling. We're just like not sure. We're disconnected from our body. That's when we're going to release some of the armor and press in really hard and do different exercises to release the tension in our body. Our muscles are, and our connective tissue and our fascia in our body are the armor that protects us. The anxiety is it's like, right? It's like, I can't breathe. It's like a shallow breath. So how do we get the breath to go deeper? We can either try the breath work where we just breathe. Okay, I can breathe, and we move ourselves through it with our mind, or we can go take a cold shower. We can just move our bodies, right? Thank you so much for joining, guys.